Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for everyone for joining us for another InsurTech talk hosted by InsurTechLA. Today I have Tomer Kashi, the CEO and founder of Voom Insurance. Now, as always, please feel free to join, ask questions that are featured, to raise a hand for Q&A, and also, of course, we have the chat. So if you need to socialize among yourselves, please do. It will not interfere while you're doing that on a private chat. If you have questions, of course, please do the, how you call that, the chat all feature or the Q&A, so we can actually attend and address your questions. Tomer, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you, Gilad, and with everybody in the audience.
And this is what I like about, we started a little bit talking about Corona and stuff, which basically moved our events from in-person to online. And now it's actually provided us with the opportunity to talk with people, well, further away from Santa Barbara or New York. And in this case, all the way from Israel, Tel Aviv. Do you want to give a quick introduction about yourself and what's you and then Voom?
Yeah, happy to. In essence, Tomer Kashi, co-founder and CEO of Voom Insurance. I'm a computer scientist and physicist that by accident became an insurance geek. Everything happened when me and my founder created models around, safety risk scores, and then found out that the best way to create a venture around it is to create an insurance company. Voom, in essence, is an InsurTech providing data-driven products for emerging mobility verticals. Our thesis is that the mobility ecosystems moves much, much faster than insurance. And there is a need for technology players like us to really bridge the gap between big, great, but traditional insurance companies to the actual customer's needs with new mobility.
Gotcha. And by the way, what's the origin of Voom?
What's the origin of the name?
Is it like Voom, 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 or is it something a little bit deeper than?
Yeah, so basically Voom is like move. It has two O's. Which stands for wheels, and we really like the name.
No, that's a classic branding question. It's like the Voom, and move has only one O, but yeah, phonetically it sounds great. Let's go with that. So you're talking about mobility, and we see many trends in that space, especially with all the scooters and all the different competitors. Is that something that you're approaching? Are you working on that?
So I think
what is the mobility that you're dealing with today?
So yeah, we divide the mobility changes into three main categories. Mm-hmm. One, new platforms, just new mobility platforms, things like you said, e-scooters, e-bikes. It could be drones. It could be anything else. Two, it's a different usage type. So not only, personal car ownership, but today you have car share, you have ride share with Uber and Lyft, you have deliveries using your car, or your e-bikes, your e-scooters. So all of these new, usage categories are things that should be insured in the right way. And maybe like the third category of change that we see is that everything becomes increasingly connected. Mm-hmm. And it gives, all of these categories, and especially the last one, gives a lot of both distribution capabilities and new opportunities in terms of embedded insurance, but even more importantly, fundamental underwriting capabilities. Since everything is connected, you can create models that make much more sense and really, rethink about how you do insurance for mobility. And these are the main categories that we see.
I'm just 1 second. I think that I don't see the 1 second here. Okay, please go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, so with that said, with the entire shifts in the mobility space, we think that, it's relatively hard for a traditional insurance company to innovate fast on a relatively niche product. Today it's niche. In the future, is going to be, the main thing. So it's like it makes more sense to, focus for 5 years on a specific innovation in, let's say, personal line space, personal lines car insurance. But when you want to approach, let's say, I want to create drone insurance, it makes much more sense for you to work with a, nimble technological player that will take you, end to end, and will, one, unlock new revenue stream as a new market. Two, do it in a relatively reliable way, based on data, based on telematics, so you're in good hands. And three, do it, end to end. So the technological player can take care of the risk analysis and the policy management and the distribution. So it's relatively seamless for the, for the insurance carrier partner.
So today in the US, how are you structured? Are you an MGA?
So yeah, so we started as an MGA. We're structured as an MGA in the US. We work also in other countries. We work in 4 countries today. In other countries, we tend to actually work as either other countries or other products, or we sometimes tend to work as a technological player. So basically to license our software platform to insurance players that, want to go to market with something that they will distribute, and just to rely on, let's say, our policy admin system. And this is also something that we do. We get approaches from, from other insurance companies, from MGAs to work with them. Actually, even besides the mobility sector that we're, specializing in, just to take what we've built and to use it in order to create new products. So this is also something that we do.
Yeah, which is completely makes sense, because you already proven the technology based on using and selling it for your own product. So, so I'm sorry, I'm taking you a little bit, almost a step back in terms of your operation in the US. So you said that you're operating in 4 countries, and I would love to get a little bit more of, your feedback of what does it mean to work in different countries, regulation, lessons, but let's keep that for later. Let's start with the first thing. What are you selling in the US?
So I can give you like a very nice concrete example of a product that's already, revenue generating. It's a drone insurance product. It's a product that is tailored for commercial drones.
Commercial drones, okay.
Yeah, a typical customer of such a product is a small business using drones for their day job. It could be a photographer, it could be an engineer. It's important to know that, drones are basically categorized as aviation insurance and not as, so they are not covered by general liability. And these customers are basically need to buy this kind of coverage. And, just a few years ago, before we came, to the market, the way to buy drone insurance was to go to a broker with a suit and cufflinks and buy drone insurance in the same way that you would buy, jet plane insurance or satellite insurance. And clearly there was a misfit. We created a drone insurance product as an MGA. Started with actually a mobile app for on-demand insurance for gig economy workers. So as a customer, you could download the mobile app, choose your flight area, and get insurance up to $10 million in liability for $5 to $10 an hour. Over time, we have developed around it a monthly product and an annual product. We distribute both directly to customers, but now also work with tens of brokers, and we provide them a very nice white labeled broker portal to them to actually service their clients, because they, it's a low margin kind of business, high volume, low margin. So for the brokers, it makes sense to just provide portal for their customers to check out themselves. So we just grew and grew, and we started with gig economy workers, and today we have customers that are drone light shows and flying taxis, and again in several countries, sold tens of thousands of policies, net promoter scores in the high 70s. So and it's really a win-win, both for the customers, for the carrier partners that work with us around the world, and for us. Sometimes we do it again as an MGA, and sometimes we just license our platform to other carriers because it's field proven already.
Gotcha. And what's the name of the brand that you're selling, or what's the brand?
So we do it under the brand SkyWatch. If you search, if you search for drone insurance in the US, you probably going to find SkyWatch either in in one of the first places, or you will find like a guide recommending SkyWatch.
Gotcha. No, that's good. That's very good. So SkyWatch is the brand. So is that the MGA entity? Because what is the effort for an Israeli company to go to the US and start selling insurance? There is a certain process here. And I'm not talking about homegrown Israeli startups like, by homegrown, I'm talking American-grown startups like Hippo, Next, and Lemonade. I'm talking about you're actually based in Tel Aviv and your market is in the US and apparently in other 3 countries.
So yeah, as a startup, we're hustlers. Okay, there is nothing that is going to stand between us to go to market. It is a bit harder when you do it remotely. Although I must say that before COVID, I spent around a third of my time in the US. So I had the United Airlines logo on my back. Just because of all of the
airlines, and we are going to lose like 19,000 people soon, apparently. But yeah, COVID news. Yeah.
So, but basically, I think that setting up an entity which is basically a licensed broker is not a rocket science, and as a startup, you should be able to overcome much bigger obstacles than that. Mm-hmm. By the way, if there is someone in the audience that is interested in opening an MGA, being licensed, things of that nature, reach out to me. Happy to help. Happy to help about everything, but specifically about that as well. I do think that there is a certain amount of logistics involved, so it makes sense for a company like us to be licensed, let's say in the US, in Canada, in the UK. But when you approach other countries, it makes much more sense for us as a company to license as a software provider and go worldwide than to be licensed in each and every niche country and be in charge of the licensing requirements, taxes requirements, and so on. So this is the way we see the world.
So you're taking the software approach, however, here you actually structured a licensed entity. Are you licensed in all the 50 states or several states?
Yeah.
All the 50 states.
In all 50 states, and the products are admitted in all 50 states.
Admitted.
Yeah, the filings there is also important. So yeah, basically the approach that we take, in some cases, especially in the US, in some cases we're an MGA, but if it's a product that is outside of mobility, let's say a company come to us and wanna just license our InsurTech platform, you can call it InsurTech as a service. Okay, we have like a rate quote buying platform that handles the claims, the payments, can work with brokers. So companies sometimes wanna just license it for things that are unrelated to mobility, and these are also things that we do from time to time, and these are things that we're not doing as an MGA, we're doing it as a tech player.
Gotcha. So your first I'm sorry, was the drones, was that your first product or?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. So you said, oh my God, there is a coverage gap with drones. You build a platform, you have the on-demand capabilities, everything, you use the application, it toggles it up, you shut it down, it's reduced. Everything is there. Now you moved a little bit more for subscription, which is very similar to buying basically a yearly policy, right? And how all of these new mobility usages, they introduce a new risk. How did you model it? How did you actually build that, those models, identify the risk, and set the right price to it?
Okay, so actually it's a very, very interesting question, because in emerging markets, there is no data.
Yeah, okay, that's why I'm asking.
So, and they think that, it's not only a disadvantage. So the disadvantage is that, there is no data. How can you create a model? Okay. But the advantage is that, with the very little data that you have, you can create something, and then you can convince the carrier that, with some leap of faith, you can start with this model, but over time you will be like the only one that will have a strategic advantage of anyone else, because you will be the only one that is in the market. So actually, in some sense, starting a company in a very big major market, it's sometimes even harder than, creating a model about something that no one knows about, let's say drones. You actually can grasp all of the knowledge in the world to your model and start from there, because there is so much knowledge in the world, and the industry evolves so fast that you can really, adapt quickly. So the only thing you need is to adapt quickly, and not to have an advantage of tens of years beforehand.
Gotcha. Now, so something very interesting that you said earlier, that you've been working with brokers. Now, usually when I'm talking to all kinds of new startups, they are all looking for the carriers, the reinsurers. They are trying to to find someone that will be the binding authority for what they are doing. What's the reasoning behind going and working with the brokers? So I assume you're the MGA, you're the binding authority, and are they just your distribution channel, or how do you work with those brokers?
Yeah, so definitely. So these brokers are a distribution channel of us. So we have the paper, we created an admitted product, and the brokers are a distribution channel of us. We started with with a direct to business approach, and it was extremely very successful for us. But I believe in in a nail it and scale it strategy. And if you really want to scale, you need to work with the broker community. You need to compensate them well. You need to treat them as a partner. And it's true that many customers, and an increasing amount of customers want to buy things directly and don't want anyone in the loop. But still, there are a lot of, especially enterprise customers, and it's true as we grow with the kind of customers that we're catering to, that have more than one insurance need. It's not a monoline insurance. They need several things that they want a person in the loop. So we as a company need to know how to work with that. And actually we build really good broker tools that they prefer to to sell our product just because it's easier, nicer. It's a great experience for the customer, and that's really great. I think that the technological skeleton that it has behind it, the ability to work with brokers at scale and introduce a new product, is super useful.
No, that's great. Is there a different, do you break down to different segments the brokers that you work with, or is there a difference between, let's say, working with UBI or Aon versus working with a 2,000 brokerage?
I think that, I think that maybe like the only difference is that in some cases there are like specific needs. So if you work with a broker, okay, you do like a white label portal for the broker, and it will be with the broker logo. But if you work with a wholesale, with a wholesaler, they have hundreds, thousands of brokers under them. You won't create, a dedicated product for each and every one of them. You will create something for the wholesaler, and they will provide it to the customers. But you will need to allocate each and every policy to each and every actual broker that sold it. So you need to to create the modifications and make sure that you track everything. But it's but these are things of this nature, and everybody's getting the same product. We are not discriminating with prices or with commissions. No. Everybody's just getting the same.
No, I wasn't going there. It's more about what is the type of product or service that they are enjoying based on their scale or their size, right? You talked about the wholesaler, of course. So it really depends. We have brokerages that the difference between if there are 50 people shop versus 50,000 people shop, or usually I would say that the difference is, are you below 10 million in premium or above, or once you reach the 500 million and 1 billion, that's a completely different story. So I don't know if you guys are already there, if you can share a little bit of information in terms, because I always find it's very interesting when people work with the agents and brokers and not just ignoring them and telling, oh, we are doing direct, we are here to kill the agent. I hate that. I think it's completely stupid, because agents are here to stay. They may change a little bit over time, especially when we see many people are retiring. Well, I don't know, I'm not sure if to Florida or Arizona, but they have that retirement age coming quickly. But yeah, I'm diverging here. So
I think that, I don't know if we already like mastered and we have like, mastered the playbook for how to, acquire brokers effectively and sell in scale. I do know that what's very important is to have a very, very good product that already has, brand and reputation. It's much easier sell, to the broker when they're selling to their clients something that they know that is good. And it's more important than anything else. They have their own reputation that they need to protect. They have liability as a broker to the customer. So you need to really make sure that, all of the T's are crossed and that everything is in place.
There is a dots and the T's are crossed. Yeah.
Exactly.
That one. Yeah. I have no idea what will be in Hebrew. What will that be? I don't know.
There is no equivalent.
Yeah. Why do you want to cross an AI? And yeah. No, very cool. That's great. So what's next? Or what are you focusing on nowadays?
That's we think it's actually there is like a common startup. There is a common startup saying that when you're really enjoying what you're doing, you don't really need to have a master plan. And I think it's by Mark Zuckerberg. But if I want to be like serious just for a moment, several things that we're doing. One, obviously growing with the market, with the products that are already in the market. Two, incubating new products around mobility, so things like e-scooters, e-bikes, connected cars, deliveries, things of that nature. And three, and this is actually something that companies reach out to us with, so we're now examining, is to just license our rate quote bind platform and to build together with established insurance companies new solutions as a pure tech player. Everything we did is born in the cloud. We don't have any legacy systems from the 80s or 90s. There are no mainframes in the company, although I know a little bit about mainframe, but that's a different story. So I think that we're in a position not only to incubate new projects, but also to help others to do it.
I assume mainframe was during the service.
Yeah, I know every piece of technology, like every piece of bizarre technology that you could think of.
No, it's very fun. It's very fun. Very funny, because think about it. Talpiot is basically the Israeli DARPA.
It's actually like, so if we talk about Talpiot, just for the audience, Talpiot is like, an elite academic program for cadets in the Israeli army. It's basically like a combination of West Point officers course and MIT Media Lab. So Talpiot, I think it's like, I don't know if it's the Israeli DARPA, but it's like funded by the Israeli DARPA. And it's, a selected group of, let's say, 30 people out of 10,000 that are, trying to apply. a year that are trained in order to develop the next generation of technological projects for the defense forces. So I think that, a lot of things that we're doing now in Voom are based on the tool set, not the inspiration, but the tool set of things that I learned about curiosity, creativity. Nothing stops you, being very ambitious. Seeing all your friends also as founders of companies raising money. So it's an ecosystem.
It's an interesting social pressure. You need to be an entrepreneur, a tech entrepreneur.
Yeah. So what happens usually is that for each and every class of around, I don't know if it's of interest for the entire audience, but I will say it in short. So for each and every class of, let's say, around 30 people, around 1/3 are staying in the academia, going to be like professors. Another third are doing regular stuff, Google, Facebook, and another third is founding startups.
That's and you have another one of your let's call it colleagues, alumni, Dror.
Yes. So yeah, my co-founder and CTO is also like a Talpiot alumni.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I'm the CEO just because I'm writing more bugs. So he appointed me the CEO, so I'll make less trouble.
Well, that's good. It's very important. It's always good to know who is going to actually report the bug and who is going to solve it and who is going to bring the money. That's super important. And I think that was enough Army talk, although it was the geekiest Army talk ever. But it's very impressive in terms of the background, and especially when we see also Dror from Atidot is also a Talpiot graduate, and it brings great talent into the market. Audience, any questions about new products and stuff like that? As people think about so we talked about what's next. You see, no, that's, sorry. Okay. I don't know, you're good?
I'm great. Oh, I see here. Yeah, so
great.
Yeah, Chaim is saying that he knows other Talpiot grads from SkyWatch.ai. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
great guys, by the way.
I'm SkyWatch. Yeah. Well,
just sat for a coffee with Asaf 2 days ago.
Yeah. So now that with COVID and the flights, can you say what are the other 3 countries? I assume those are English-speaking countries.
No, so yeah, we work in the US, in Canada, in the UK, and in Israel.
And in Israel. Okay. Same products or more on the software side?
No, it's same. Yeah, same products. Mainly same products. We have some software projects as well, but mainly it's the same product.
Okay, great. So we talked about that. I think that we are reaching a point that we are going to finish actually way sooner. We managed to cover, I think, that most of the things that we did in our web call.
Gilad, I'm speaking very fast.
I know.
What we can do in the recording is to just slow down so it will take longer, and maybe I'll be also more more clear.
So there is another question about your competitors, but because usually people I understand that don't like to talk about their competitors, if you can talk high level about, without naming names, what's the difference between the different companies? Because my understanding, you're providing your platform, you have the on-demand capabilities, and you're also an MGA.
Yeah, so I think it's a very, very fair point. The InsurTech industry, there is so much VC money poured into it, and there is so much opportunity. You know, it's a huge market of trillions. So it makes sense that in the landscape there will be great companies that are trying to do similar things. I think that there are like two categories of competing companies. One are competing companies in a specific vertical. So let's say our competitors in drone insurance, for example. And the other one is, competing company on the technology of the, let's say, InsurTech as a service, or the ability to create new products for mobility. So there are great companies in the market, at least in the drone space. We feel like that we're doing a pretty good job. Both versus the other, let's say, tech players and the more traditional players in the market. In the InsurTech, in general, InsurTech as a service kind of field, there are companies in the market, but the market is much more complex in terms of, there are a lot of needs. Companies that are doing only policy admin system, companies that are doing only delivery system for brokers, companies that are doing both, companies that are focusing on a specific sub-segment of the market, a specific vertical. So it's a much more a complex thing to map in a short conversation.
Gotcha. So let's do that, because we have only 11 attendees left. I'll promote everyone to be a panelist. I will need to, sadly, I need to do it one by one.